Hey everybody, now we're going to talk about the new K890. There's a lot of questions about it. We want to make everything in it right now, but I just want to explain how this came about and what it's about and where we're going with it. Right now, just to clarify, we were only able to get this 1 ingot's worth. Anything else is coming in next year. They're starting to put some of this on the board, but the facility schedule is really busy. So we were able to get this little custom bit rolled, but we were only able to get 1 ingot's worth. So what we have are materials to finish at 0.150 and 0.125. So we were really careful in how we had this ingot distributed. Rather than doing big choppers and stuff, I wanted people to be able to get a lot of little knives out in the field and get some feedback in user knives before we expanded some of these offerings. I know, looking at the data sheets, that it's gonna work really well across the board for a lot of applications. We've got a functional heat treat range from like 58 on probably on up to about 66 Rockwell. Just due to the complex nature of the alloy, the cobalt and different things, it's a really high quality alloy. So about K890, it was developed for the fine blanking industry and for applications where you have to hold really, really fine details under a lot of compressive and shock stresses. Some tool and die applications, fine blanking, coining, things like that, where you absolutely have to have good structure under a lot of stress. And after looking at these values, since I've learned that they're not going to do anything at Crucible and Niagara to improve 3V anytime soon, a few years ago I started looking at alternatives. And like I said before in another video, until very recently, Böhler K890 didn't have their US distribution sorted out. So a lot of these materials weren't available to us, and especially this. To my knowledge, this wasn't really ever rolled into steel for knives up until very recently. So after about a year, we were able to get this made, just kind of worked out. So we got this 1 ingot, and we are being very careful in how we use it to make sure that we can get a lot of units out there so you guys can see how this stuff really performs. I think this is very, very competitive against something like 3V with a much higher level of consistency in the alloy, so that we more consistently have good production and good performance out in the field without some of these things that I'm seeing with some of the Crucible Industries products. So I hope that explains that. It's very limited right now. I do want to expand on this. Everybody who's used one of these knives is very happy. As you can see in our abuse testing, everything is really, really nice about it. It has good compressive strength, so it holds itself together really well. It has good ductility for good shock resistance, so it doesn't shatter. It's not so high in alloy that it's a nightmare to resharpen. I honestly think for what you get out of it on edge holding, stropping it back out is very reasonable. And that's what I've always been looking for in a Scandi and things like that. I've made 3V Scandis in the past, but for what you need to put into them, I've just never been happy with the performance. You know, the juice didn't seem worth the squeeze, so I never did that. But you could see from our buddy's tri-stick carving, a good customer stopped up from outside DC area. You could see he's got a lot of high dollar Scandis that he brought in here, and at the end of the day, he was really, really impressed with the performance of our bushcraft in the Scandi grind. It just does really well. It does what it's supposed to in that application. Just because it's a good alloy, it can support those geometries, it cuts good, and it's a pleasure to work with. So right now we're gonna go around the shop and explain what is available for ordering and why and how we're gonna approach this. We wanna be very careful. I didn't wanna just cut all this up and assume what everybody's gonna want. So we have a few offerings in this, and the stuff is gonna be coming up very, very quickly just because of how nicely it processes. And that's gonna give us the ability to regain our steam here and finish out some of these CPM products the way that we want to, without the delays and just keep tripping up in some of these issues. This is gonna give us the gas to get all that done quickly, and everybody gets what they want. You guys get some awesome materials. Nobody's gonna have this until next year. This is the only K890 on US soil right now, and there's not gonna be any more until about next June. So yeah, I think we'll talk more about some of those things here in another video, but right now we're gonna walk around the shop and explain where some of this stuff is at. Stand by. So Ellie wrote this nice little handy thing here for me. I'll explain where all these are in video right now. Some folks were asking, and we have enough material in the thinner stock thickness, so we are going to make some GSO3s in K890 as well. So if you wanted to change your order to that, that won't be a very long wait, although the GSO3s that are already in production are just in finishing and assembly right now. So if you're okay with, like, you know, 4 or 5 week difference, that's fine. And we've already got these cut out. We're about to cut these out with the GSO3s, and the rest of this stuff we're gonna look at here in the shop. Most of what we're offering is already through heat treat, and we know it performs really well. We didn't have anything that was unanticipated coming back from heat treat. So far, this is a stark contrast to what I've been dealing with the crucible steels and just how the material condition that arrives to us. Again, if you haven't, just go check out some of our materials inconsistency videos, and if you really listen, you'll start understanding some of the differences here. I'm very pleased with this. So we've only made some of this available, and we will have extras already, and we have plenty of materials to make more. These are the bushcraft, so if you want the low saber grind or the Scandi grind, these are all going to be moving through finish grinding and working over to assembly. So these are only going to be some weeks out. I'll give you guys some updates on that. We just have sheaths being reshaped for the Scandi profile, but we'll have these done before the sheaths can possibly get here. And looking at the standards, again, we're not offering even all of these for sale right now. We're just trying to get our steam back here in the face of what occurred to us. And, you know, I hope you guys like this stuff and see the value in our work. But these are the 150s. So these are back from heat treat, and I'm gonna go over to our bench here now and show you some of what's happening over there. But all of these, we've got some working through finishing and assembly already, and this is what we have in the pipeline. I had to jump off of surface grinding over here to finish some more 5.1s, which you saw in other videos. But we do also have the MagnaCut, you know, GSO 4.7s, GSO 4.5s, 4.5 bushcrafts, more of the GSO 5.1s in MagnaCut. I'm gonna start working on the last of the GSO 4s, but we've got GSO 4s over in assembly and finishing. So all of that stuff is being worked on. And as I get time here, when we put the roughing wheel back on, we've got a lot more EDC 4s in K890 coming through the pipeline. But I'm also working on finish grinding more GSO 4.5 standards, more of the K890 EDC 4s, and we've got more of the EDC 4s here, and then another stack that I'm gonna get finished ground before I put the roughing wheel back on. But what's gonna be profile machined here shortly, this is a lot more. These are stacks of 30. We're already into extras on this, so all of this is positive progress for us. So if you want one of these, they're gonna deliver in a really short time frame, and that'll really help us get our steam back so we can start more aggressively investing in some of these other LMAX and Böhler home steels, just to get us moving in a more positive direction more quickly. I just want to serve you guys, and I think together, even in the face of this big situation, we can fix this. We're a very efficient operation, and I'm excited to show you what we can actually do as our own manufacturing company. So we've got these K890, they're all extras, and we've got, these are all ready for finish grinding, more of the GSO 4.5 bushcrafts. But stepping over here, along with those other EDC4 rough blanks, we're gonna get these EDC3s in K890 done. If you're wondering, all the other EDC3s are working through assembly right now. So if you have one of those 2.7 orders that got decarbed, again, we were converting that to an EDC3. It's very similar and has the same handle as the EDC 2.7. So we're gonna swap that out to that model. That's just gonna be the one model moving forward. And then also we have the upcoming EDC 5.5. I know it doesn't look like much right now, but we're gonna get these all surface ground, and you're gonna see how beautiful these are. But this is gonna be a great hunter style knife and just an outdoorsman style knife. We'll have some pictures and stuff up shortly. And then if you don't like the finger choil, we back that whole situation up for a 5-inch design. So if you like our EDC4, but you were looking for something just a little bigger and beefier, but still very efficient, you're really, really gonna like that. And then we've got all these daggone LMAX TSKs moving through here. And then we're also sampling around some AEBL there. I know some folks like that. So We're gonna be playing with that and running it through production, but I wanna make sure all that's good and it's moving through finishing before we really talk about that. But yeah, just come back over here, show you guys what's going on. We've got lots and lots of LMAX. We're ready to take this full batch of LMAX EDC4s up to heat treat. So when they come back, they should go through finish grinding really, really quickly. But we have hundreds of extras of those. And then this M390, that's processed really, really well in contrast to our past batches of 20 CV. This material was very flat sheets. The parts are very flat and it machined very nicely. I'm so excited about that. And then we do already have more K890 blades ready to go up to heat treat here. They're all profile machined. And like I said, we learned to deal with a lot of inconsistencies. So now that we're getting materials that machine very consistently, we're finding the progress is a lot daggone easier and less headachy. But just for you guys still hanging out here, I'll show you some of the differences. I just grabbed a stack of these M390 from the front since I'm working alone here with one hand. But these are very, very flat right in the annealed sheets. There's a few burrs on the handle holes, but this is what I'm talking about. Just everything is nice. It's a pleasure to process, and there's no visual inconsistencies in any of these materials that we're working through finishing. I'll show you guys everything. I don't mean this to just be a crucible hit piece. I just need you guys to understand what we've been dealing with. And I think through transparency, we can either figure out what the heck's been going on or get some improvements. I know that Crucible and Niagara can do the job. It's just they fall short a lot and refuse to admit that. And a lot of small companies suffer for that when you have higher than normal standards. You either need to conform to the lower standards and just have your stuff be consumer merch, or you need to be prepared to eat a lot of loss. And I'm tired of that. I'm tired of taking out loans and stuff to make up the difference when they fall short and won't be good on their word. So I hope you guys can understand where we're moving in this direction. That does not mean we're sidestepping any of this. It's just this gives us the energy to focus on this, to get these orders out the door, order more sheets where we've had the defects and stuff, and then that massive loss of the decarb situation. We can absorb that more easily and keep ordering materials. And I'm just going to show you guys, the good, bad, and the ugly. If, sometimes this process is really nice. The inconsistencies are very low. Again, if you watch our material observations and inconsistencies, you can see that sometimes the stuff's really flat. It's ideal. It comes back from heat treat nice and flat. But then other times the stuff is just kind of mangled up, and they need to dial in these issues if we're going to keep working with those materials. I know you guys want them, but we also have high standards. So if it's going to cost us a pound of flesh consistently and they're never going to stand behind any of that, there's not much incentive to want to ramp up and use these if I've got a time bomb waiting on my floor that I don't know about. So anyway, that's what's going on in the shop here this morning. We are going to do a much more thorough update here over the next few days. So stop back often. We do have a lot going on here.